Yo, what's up, boys? Gonna crack open a cold one. By a cold one, I mean a boobly, of course, carbonated water. In this video, I'm gonna get into the reasons why social media is bad for you. Basically, two main reasons, so I'm gonna get into it. First reason is that when you're using social media such as Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, what you're doing is you're scrolling through posts. So you're scrolling, scrolling. You look at one piece of content or post, then you look at the next one, then the next one, then the next one. You're continuously just scrolling through posts. Maybe you watch a whole video or something for one of them, but a bunch of them you're just skipping. You skim over it or whatever, then you skip on to the next one because it doesn't interest you. And what this is doing, what this behavior is doing, is it is causing your brain to have less focus, to have less, how do I describe it? Less deep focus. Trains your brain to want to just skip from one thing to another thing to another thing for short-term gratification purposes. That's what it's doing. When you're using social media like that, it cultivates your brain to start to focus on things for short amounts of time, because that's literally what you're doing. You're focusing on things for a shorter amount of time than you would have been otherwise. It makes it more difficult to do things like reading a book, doing some homework, writing, drawing, whatever, working on your business, anything that requires focus in long periods of time, anything that requires long periods of concentration becomes more difficult if you cultivate your brain to have less focus. And what's the reason why social media is so addicting? I'll put that at the end of the video because I guess it's not one of the two main disadvantages of using social media for entertainment purposes. So I think it's just interesting information, so I'll talk about that, or at least my knowledge of why I think that is at the end of the video. Second reason why social media is so bad for you is that subconsciously it automatically makes your brain compare your life to other people. The biggest problem with this, the biggest disadvantage from this is that when you're looking at the lives of celebrities, because that's types of posts that get shared often. Often you see posts about celebrities' lifestyle, what they do and this or that about them. And you can't help but to compare your life to theirs subconsciously without even consciously thinking about it. You think, oh man, I wish I had this. Oh man, I wish I had that. Maybe you start daydreaming. Maybe you start thinking that, oh man, his life is so much better than mine. Her life is so much better than mine, etc., etc., etc. It's not healthy. Like, yeah, you shouldn't be completely satisfied with your life, but at the same time, you should be. See, as humans, we have the ability to hold contradictory beliefs in our minds. Because on one hand, you do want to be satisfied with your life. But on the other hand, you want to achieve greater things in your life. You want to strive for more and achieve more. So how do you settle this contradiction in your mind? Now, I don't have all the answers, so I'm just gonna say some thoughts that I have regarding this question. The thing is that you can be satisfied with your life while you're working towards striving for more, if that makes sense. For me, if I spend a whole day eating junk food, playing video games, and this type of thing, I'm not going to be satisfied with my life. I'm going to feel like I have no purpose in my life if I do that day after day after day after day, day in, day out. However, if I'm doing things like socializing, doing things which are meaningful to other people, making connections, doing work which impacts other people in a positive way that they find valuable, etc., I'm going to be satisfied with my life. And if I'm working towards my goals at the same time as doing all of that, then yeah, of course I'm going to be satisfied with my life. That's just how I operate, you know? And I'm nothing special. Most people are like me too. If you put some purpose in your life, discipline, and this type of thing, and you actually make progress towards your goals, of course you're going to be satisfied. If you're transitioning from a lifestyle that is very hedonistic, like I was describing, playing video games, eating junk food, etc., etc., watching porn, all that type of thing, then of course the transition towards a meaningful life is going to be very uncomfortable, very painful, and it's not going to feel satisfying until you make a good amount of progress in that. If you're living that type of lifestyle, your mental health is probably messed up too. So it would take time for your dopaminergic systems to come back to their natural equilibrium levels, because let's face it, in the modern world, our brains face constant overstimulation. We're constantly getting barraged by messages from people, emails asking us to act on this now, act on that now, act on this now. We constantly have these stimuli providing low level stresses in our lives. So that's why we have so much overstimulation in our brain. You can't even help it. You can only do so much to prevent it. Like, of course, you can turn off the notifications on your phone. Like, I never have my phone's bell on or vibrate. It's always on silent, you know what I mean? Because I check my phone on my own time type thing, unless it's a specific moment where you need to respond ASAP to something. But that rarely happens, you know? So anyways, you see these lives of celebrities on social media, and you also see the lives of people around you. They're posting the highlights of their lives, especially on apps like Instagram and Facebook, maybe Snapchat too. They're posting stories of highlights of their lives. These don't reflect reality, because of course they're just going to post the highlights, since that's what makes them look as good as possible. Everybody wants to present themselves in a manner that's going to be as appealing as possible to everybody around them. I mean, some people don't care, but they're the minority. I'm talking in general terms here. As the old saying goes, every rule has an exception. Anyways, they're just posting the highlights. So if you're comparing your current life with the highlights of other people's lives, like, oh man, this guy just graduated, this guy just did this girl just did this, they just got married, whatever. First of all, you have to realize that that's not an accurate representation of their lives. And second of all, you have to realize that life is a marathon, it's not a sprint. 40 is still pretty young, you know what I mean? If you're 30 years old and you're thinking about not doing self-improvement because you're too old for that, that's simply not the case. Like, your peak earning years are going to be in your 60s, you know what I mean? If you build a solid base, a solid foundation, your peak earning years are going to be in your 60s, 60 to 65. I know that's what I'm going to be making the most money in my lifetime. That's for sure. You gotta think about the long term, because your future self will always thank you for your current self, putting work in that will benefit your future self. If you clean your room today, your future self is going to be grateful for that because now they have a clean room to be in. And you can even thank yourself for that if you do a daily gratitude journal or something like that. You can be grateful for that. Or you can be grateful for the opportunity that you even have your own room and this type of thing, living in a first world country and all that. So yeah, your brain will automatically compare your current life to the highlights of the people around you. And that's not a healthy thing because it can make you feel inadequate when you are not inadequate. It can trigger feelings of jealousy and a multitude of other negative emotions if you're feeling inadequate, make you feel more anxious and this type of thing. It's just bad for your mental health. And the thing is, like, you don't have to make yourself experience those types of emotions if you stopped using social media apps like that. Like for me personally, I don't have any social media apps on my phone except for WhatsApp because I use that to communicate. I don't use that to look at people's stories or whatever. I don't even know if you can do that on WhatsApp. I think you can. And then I have Facebook Messenger, but that's not Facebook. That's that's a tool that's part of Facebook. It's not the app of Facebook itself. And then you can delete those apps to free your mind from that negative process which will occur if you mindlessly scroll through social media. It's as simple as that. Our brains are naturally wired to want to keep scrolling social media because we want to find content that's valuable, information that's valuable, that will help us get ahead in life. If you think about back in the days when we were cavemen, we were always looking for more information that would further our chances of survival. For example, where do the deer in this area like to go? What kind of predators are in this area? Where would the predators be for you? And you would have to be ready to defend yourself against those types of predators. There would be a lot of different types of information, random information that could end up saving your life back then. But in the modern day, having random information like that is not as useful as it was back then. In fact, it can be detrimental, as we've been discussing. Oh, excuse me. Social media takes advantage of this natural desire of our brain, or the wiring of our brain, natural wiring of our brain, to seek out new information, random information which may be useful to us. And it abuses us. It abuses this feature of our brains in order to make their apps more addicting. They try to take our attention through social media apps. Even YouTube does this too. So I know YouTuber Hamza, I highly recommend his channel, by the way. I said this before, but so I guess I'm kind of copying him when I say this. But you should not even watch my videos that much or at all, if ideally, but I mean, I still watch YouTube sometimes because YouTube is addicting too, and it takes your attention, this type of thing. Although I do find value in self-improvement videos once in a while because that information is useful to me, and that's actually why I made this channel too. to pass on information that I think would be useful to you guys, because it's information that I found useful when I found out about it. That's why I'd like to take this opportunity to share this information with you guys too. So without really giving that an introduction, that's why our brains are so naturally prone to wanting to use social media the way that we do. And you gotta remember that the main person that you want to be comparing yourself to is your old self. You want to be seeing how much progress you made. When you're on a fitness journey, you want to be looking at your current physique and where you started at. If you're making progress, that's excellent. That's what you need. You shouldn't be comparing yourself to some roided out guy on Instagram or this type of thing. You know what I mean? Because any progress is good progress. Life is a marathon, not a sprint. If you're living a healthy, good lifestyle, if you're doing the tasks that you have to do to achieve financial success and freedom, if you're building and maintaining your connections with people, good connections with people, if you're living a spiritual and fulfilled life, then you're gonna have a good life. That's my point of view on it. Well, this is a long video. I didn't see how long it was going on for. I think that just about covers all of the points that I wanted to make on this topic. If you guys have any topics or video suggestions for me, go ahead and leave them down in the comments. I have a list on my phone of YouTube video ideas, and I try to add to that every day because, as you can tell from my channel name, I try to upload every day. That's the game plan. So yeah, any ideas that you guys might have on videos that you would want to see, feel free to put them down in the comments. If you like the video, leave it a like and subscribe, and have a blessed day. Peace. Take care of yourself.